Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Cairo local time, your window into the pulse of Egypt from the latest developments in the political things and the key economic the headlines to the stories that shape the world of the sports. We bring you the latest updates in these segments, so stay tuned after this short break. I'm Sahar Talawi. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and you're still on the Cairo local time, and starting our episode with the Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli has affirmed that the state's clear direction is to build a competitive generation, noting that there are continuous directives from President Sisi to prioritize the training of the human cadres in the modern technology. The Prime Minister's remarks came as he attended the ceremony of the Educational Development Funds in the new capital on behalf of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. During the ceremony, Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli launched both the 1 Million International License Initiative and the International Labour Market Observatory, which aim to connecting with the labour market and offering developed digital skills. And on the sidelines of his participation in the BRICS Foreign Ministers meeting in New Delhi on Thursday, Foreign Minister Badr Abdul Ati met with India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The Foreign Minister has affirmed his keenness on expanding cooperation with India in the fields of economy, trade and investment. The discussions addressed the latest regional developments, where Abdul Ati reviewed Egypt's efforts to de-escalation in the Middle East. Abdul Ati also held talks with the Indian Minister for Foreign Affairs, Jai Shankar, where they praised the recent tangible development in bilateral relations in various domains. Abdul Ati also conferred with his Brazilian counterpart, Mauro Vieira, as he expressed Egypt's keenness on enhancing the Egyptian-Brazilian ties, particularly in the light of signing the strategic partnership agreement between the two countries on November 2024. Earlier, the foreign minister took part in the BRICS foreign ministers meeting. Addressing the meeting, Abdul Ati outlined Egypt's strategic vision for the bloc, emphasizing economic integration and the global institutional reform. And he also discussed the initiatives proposed by Egypt within the BRICS framework, including the establishment of the grain logistics centers in East Port Said to bolster food security, thereby and contribute to industrial, commercial and investment cooperation. The minister also has addressed the escalating challenges facing the international order, noting the development nations bear the brunt of the global crisis. The top diplomat also warned of the regional tension impacting international navigation, supply chains and energy prices. On the Palestinian question, Abdul Ati condemned the Israeli practices in the occupied territories and demanded the underhand flow of humanitarian aid into Gaza. And ladies and gentlemen, now we go see the foreign ministers from the BRICS nation began a two-day meeting in New Delhi on Thursday as the expanding bloc faces divisions over the war in Iran, rising the energy prices and growing the global economic uncertainty. Details in the coming report.
Foreign ministers from the BRICS nations began a two-day meeting in New Delhi on Thursday as the expanding bloc faces divisions over the war in Iran, rising energy prices and the growing global economic uncertainty. The meeting brings together diplomats from Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, along with newer member countries. It comes as the war in Iran has disrupted global energy supplies and driven up oil prices, and coincides with US President Donald Trump's meeting with Chinese leader Xi Jinping in Beijing. India's foreign minister said the talks would focus on global and regional challenges and ways to deepen cooperation among member nations. In opening remarks, he highlighted the BRICS could help developing countries more effectively respond to the health and financing challenges they face, as well as high prices for energy, food and fertilizers. Founded by Brazil, Russia, India and China, BRICS was formed as a grouping of major emerging economies seen as a counterbalance to Western-led institutions such as the G7. South Africa joined in 2010 and the bloc expanded further in 2024 with the addition of Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran and the United Arab Emirates. Indonesia became a full member in 2025. The bloc's expansion also has added strains. Competing regional interests have increased the difficulty of presenting a unified position.
And ladies and gentlemen, to shed more light over the participation for the Foreign Minister Badr Abdel taking part in the BRICS Foreign Ministers meeting, we have over the phone and much delighted to be joined by Dr. Mohamed Ezaby, the international relation expert. A very good afternoon to you, Dr. Mohamed.
Good afternoon to you.
Dr. Mohamed, please, can you tell me how significant is Egypt's diplomatic role within the BRICS given its strategic location and the regional influence?
Well, the visit of Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdel to India ahead of the upcoming BRICS meeting carries major political, economic, and geopolitical significance. The timing of this visit reflects Egypt's growing commitment to strengthening its role within the BRICS bloc after officially joining the organization, while simultaneously leading strategic cooperation with India as one of the most influential emerging powers in the global south. The visit shouldn't be viewed merely as a preparatory diplomatic engagement before a multilateral summit, but rather a part of a broader Egyptian foreign policy strategy aimed to diversifying partnership, expanding economic alliance, and reinforcing Cairo's position in rapidly transforming international system increasingly characterized by multipolarity.
For sure. Doctor, also, in your point of view, how could Egypt benefit economically from the closer cooperation with India and the other BRICS members?
Well, first, the strategic importance of India in Egyptian foreign policy, that's why that India occupies a unique place in Egypt's diplomatic calculations for several reasons. The first reason is the rising global power. India today is one of the world's fastest growing economies and an increasingly influential geopolitical actor. Its expanding international role makes it a crucial partner for Egypt, especially in shifts in global power balance away from traditional Western dominance. For Cairo, strengthening relations with the New Delhi means engaging with one of the largest consumer markets globally, a technological and industrial powerhouse, a leading voice of the global south, a state pursuing strategic autonomy in international affairs. This aligns closely with Egypt's own diplomatic approach, which seeks balanced relations with all major powers without entering geopolitical blocks.
Yes.
The second reason is the historical foundations of cooperation. Egyptian-India relations are historically rooted in the legacy of the non-aligned movement led by figures such as Gamal Abdel Nasser and Jawaharlal Nehru. Today, both countries seek to revive the spirit of South-South cooperation under modern economic and geopolitical conditions. The current regional and international crisis, including distribution in supply chains, food security challenges, and energy market volatility, have renewed the importance of cooperation among emerging economies.
Yes. Also, Doctor, can you tell us more about the sectors are more likely to attract the BRICS countries to invest here in Egypt?
Well, Egypt's participation in BRICS represents one of the most important shifts in the international economic orientation in recent years. Egyptian integration into emerging economic structure. So this visit to India is expanding to focus heavily on coordinating position regarding reform of the international financial system, expanding trade in local currencies, reduces dependency on the U.S. dollar in bilateral transactions,
Yes.
including cooperation between central banks and development institutions, enhancing financial mechanisms for infrastructure and development projects. Egypt sees BRICS as an opportunity to diversify sources of investment, reduce pressure from global financial fluctuations, access alternative development financing, expanding export markets beyond traditional Western partners. Also, Egypt as a bridge between Africa and the Middle East and the BRICS.
Yes.
Cairo increasingly presents itself as a strategic gateway linking Africa, the Arab world, the Mediterranean, and emerging Asian countries, Asian economics.
Yes.
This gives Egypt added value within BRICS, especially as the bloc seeks deeper engagement with African markets and the trade corridors. Dr. Abdel discussions in India are therefore likely to include maritime connectivity,
Yes.
supply chain security, energy cooperation, logistic integration, and industrial partnership linked to the Suez Canal Economic Zone.
Well, Doctor, also in your point of view, do you see that Egypt is seeking a broader use of the local currencies and trade with the BRICS countries?
Well, Egypt proceeds to exchange everything with local currencies. It means for Egypt that Egypt will not depend on the dollar in its exports, so it will reduce the price of the dollar in the central bank. So it means that it raised the economic level of Egypt and also reduce the level of life for Egyptian people.
Yes. Also, how does the BRICS expansion reflect the changes in the global balance of power worldwide?
Well, if we talk about the economic diplomacy, it's expected by joining BRICS, expanding the bilateral trades, the trade between Egypt and India and other countries of BRICS has witnessed remarkable growth in recent years, particularly in energy, fertilizers, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, textile, agriculture, commodities, and technology sectors. Egypt seeks greater Indian investment and other BRICS countries to investment in Egypt in many fields, like manufactured industries, renewable energy, digital transformation, ports and logistics, and pharmaceutical production.
Yes.
At the same time, India views Egypt as a strategic industrial and export hub toward Africa and European markets.
Yes, well, Doctor, a short break and we'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, for the Asr prayers, so stay tuned for the Cairo local time. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and you're still on the Cairo, the local time, and we were talking about the participation of the Foreign Minister Badr Abdel Aati in the BRICS for the foreign ministers, and we are joined by Dr. Mohamed the Ezaby international relation expert. Dr. Mohamed, did you hear me? Dr. Mohamed?
Yeah.
Yes, to continue our conversation, Doctor, what are the role of India play within the BRICS compared to China and Russia, in your point of view?
Well, we know that India, with Russia and China, are the first three countries which announced to BRICS, and they start to bring some countries to be with them in this organization. Always the policy between Russia and China and India always have the same political movements. They have a same motivations towards
Yes.
or point of views about any struggle in the world. They have many kinds of cooperation, especially in the field of energy together. So any country joins this organization as a BRICS have a lot of benefits, especially in the energy and the green hydrogen cooperation. Russia and China start to depend on green hydrogen cooperation energy and solar energy. So by joining the BRICS, Egypt have a lot of benefits by cooperation between China and India and Russia.
Yes, also, Doctor, how can Egypt, as you said, that it can use its geographic position to strengthen the cooperation with the BRICS countries? What are the opportunities can emerge from increased trade between Egypt and the BRICS nation?
Well, as the geopolitical implications, the visit reflects the acceleration emergence of the multipolar international order in which middle powers such as Egypt and India seek greater strategic independence. Both countries share similar positions on several global issues, reforming international institutions, supporting development economics, preserving strategic autonomy, and avoiding polarization between major powers. They convergence enhance the political significance of their coordination with the BRICS. So all the BRICS countries can have a lot of benefits by the position of Egypt in Africa. They can consider Egypt as a bridge between the BRICS countries as Russia and China and India and all African countries and Arab countries. They can raise the level of trading or exchanging between the countries. Also, by this place and by the power of Egypt as a mediator in many struggles, they can depend on Egypt as a regional security coordination. So I think the next meeting in BRICS will discuss, the discussions are also likely to address major regional crises, including the war in Gaza, Red Sea security, maritime navigation challenges, terrorism, and instability in parts of Africa and the Middle East. Especially India has major interest in securing maritime trade routes through the Red Sea and the Suez Canal, while Egypt seeks to further international coordination to maintain regional stability.
Yes.
Also, Dr. Badr Abdel visit demonstrates that Egypt's diplomacy is moving towards a more diversifying and economically driven foreign policy framework.
Yes.
Key features of this strategy include expanding partnership with emerging power, increasing engagement in global South platform, attracting investment from non-traditional partners, balancing the relations between East and West, enhancing Egypt's role as a regional economic and geopolitical hub. So the visit also reflects Cairo understanding that future international influence will increasingly depend not only on the military or political power, but also on economic connectivity, technological integration, supply chain positioning, and participation in alternative financial structures.
Yes. Well, also, Doctor, in your point of view, how does the inclusion of countries like Egypt and UAE and Indonesia change the identity of the BRICS?
Well, many benefits of BRICS can be used for all the BRICS countries. Especially the most important benefit is exchanging by local currency. If they succeed to make this agreement to exchange all supply change by local currencies, it means that these countries will not depend on dollar again. They will not need to be under pressure of the price of dollars. So everything will be exist in their countries, especially the BRICS countries have many things like energy, food supply, many things that any country can need. So also technological infrastructure, many things. So by signing this agreement and start with it, so a lot of benefits will be back on the BRICS countries.
Also, talking about the Global South countries, how important is the coordination between the Global South countries at this stage of the international instability?
Well, by cooperation with these countries, they are a very great economic system.
Yes.
They can make a great pressure on the two parties in a struggle like Iran and USA. Yes. Can make a lot of pressure by using economy, by using energy to avoid to spread the war as a regional war, especially that Russia and China also have a great military power, not only have a great economical system,
yes.
but
yes.
also great military power. We saw that Donald Trump from yesterday are in China, and he invited the president of China to visit the United States. So by cooperation between Egypt as the greatest mediator in the Middle East and China and India, Russia, they can avoid a lot of struggles in the near future.
Yes, I will thank you, Dr. Mohamed, for participating with us and giving your insightful information and commenting on this important meeting that has been made by the Prime Minister, Dr. Mohamed Ezaby, the international relation expert. Thank you so much for joining the Cairo local time. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll go for a short break and we'll be right back. So stay tuned to continue our episode. Welcome back, dear viewers, and you're still on the Cairo local time. And moving to our report, Egypt resumed delivering the aid for the Gaza Strip as the 195th convoy of Zaid al-Izza flew into Gaza Strip through a subgate of the Rafah border land port. And the convoy part of Zaid al-Izza from Egypt to Gaza departed from the Rafah border crossing, heading toward the Karam Abu Salim crossing in the preparation for delivering the aid in the Gaza Strip. Details in the coming report.
The Egyptian Red Crescent said it launched its 195th humanitarian aid convoy towards Gaza, carrying around 3,478 tons of assistance. The trucks of the 195th Zaid al-Izza from Egypt to Gaza convoy are delivering food baskets, flour, medical supplies, relief materials, and fuel needed to operate hospitals and vital facilities in the enclave. The aid also included clothing, mattresses, and tents to support displaced and affected residents. The organization also said it had expanded its support for displaced Palestinians by providing essential shelter and household items, including clothing, mattresses, and tents. The ERC has maintained a continuous presence at the border since the outbreak of the war in Gaza, stressing that Rafah crossing has never been closed from the Egyptian side. The ERC said it has delivered more than 970,000 tons of humanitarian and relief aid to Gaza through ongoing efforts supported by over 65,000 volunteers.
And moving to our other report, for the Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation, Hani Suwailem, underscored the sustainable water management is essential for the strengthening food security and improving the resilience of the Africa's agriculture system against the climate change and the water scarcity. More details in the coming report.
Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation Hani Suwailem underscored that sustainable water management is essential for strengthening food security and improving the resilience of Africa's agricultural system against climate change and water scarcity. According to the ministry, Suwailem participated in a high-level roundtable on agriculture during the Africa Forward Summit in Nairobi, which focused on building more productive, sustainable and resilient food and agricultural systems across the continent. The session brought together ministers, senior officials, international organizations and private sector representatives to discuss partnerships and priority agriculture value chains that support food security and sustainable development. Discussions emphasized moving from dialogue to implementation through concrete partnerships, financing mechanisms, and clear timelines for agricultural and food projects. Participants also examined ways to mobilize blended finance and strengthen the roles of both public and private sectors in supporting agricultural value chains from research and extension services to production, processing, and financing solutions. Key sectors under review included grains, oilseeds, animal feed, dairy products, horticulture, cash crops, sustainable agriculture, and innovation. Suwailem stressed that Egypt's participation reflects the close link between water security and food security, noting that improving water use efficiency is central to Egypt's efforts to support sustainable agriculture. He added that Egypt is working to maximize the efficient use of its water resources amid climate and demographic pressures to ensure sustainable agricultural production and resilient food systems.
And to the Egyptian stock indices has collectively rose at the start of the trading on Thursday. The main EGX 30 went up by 0.11%. The small and the medium EGX 70 also went up by 0.4%, while and the more expanded EGX 100 has gained 0.32%. And to our report for the stocks, the Financial Regulatory Authority, the FRA, in a statement issued that Egypt's stock market saw a sharp rise in the new investor registration during April, with a number of the newly coded investors jumping 110% year on year to around 64,000. Details in the coming report.
The Financial Regulatory Authority, in a statement issued that Egypt's stock market saw a sharp rise in new investor registration during April, with the newly coded investors jumping 110% year-on-year to around 64,000. The regulator said that number of new investors in the Egyptian exchange climbed 215% during the first quarter of 2026 compared with the same period a year earlier, reflecting growing retail participation and rising interest in investment products. Trading activity also posted strong gains during April. The total value of securities traded, including listed and unlisted instruments, rose to around 2.2 trillion Egyptian pounds compared with 1.24 trillion Egyptian pounds in April 2025, while market capitalization reached nearly 3.7 trillion Egyptian pounds by the end of the month. Speaking during a meeting with members of the Egyptian Private Equity and Venture Capital Association, Chairman Islam Azam said the Egyptian exchange recorded notable growth in the first quarter of 2026, with total trading values exceeding 6 billion Egyptian pounds, marking annual growth of 41.2% compared with the same period of 2025.
And moving to our last sports news, Egypt opened the campaign at the U17 African Cup of Nations with a goalless draw against Ethiopia and Morocco. Egypt is in Group A alongside host Morocco, Ethiopia and Tunisia. The two top teams from each of the four groups qualify automatically for the FIFA U17 World Cup, which will be held in Qatar next November. The third place teams will advance to playoffs to determine the remaining two African qualifiers, with the continent allocated 10 spots hosts at the World Cup. Egypt faced Tunisia on Saturday before concluding the group stage campaign against Morocco on Tuesday. And the Cote d'Ivoire beat Cameroon 2-0 in Group B to move top of the group, which also includes Uganda and DR Congo. By this, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of our Cairo local time on Nile TV International. Many thanks for the watching, and stay tuned on Nile TV International. I am Sahar Al-Talawi.